We're live now.
No, that's not what I want. It is not working, so please let me know. Just don't work. That'd be great. Okay. Evening, Frank.
Evening.
Good to see you. How you doing? See what's up there. What do you want to look at first? We are going to, the first thing that I'm going to need is 7. Sorry, we have to wait till 7, so we'll start in 2 minutes. And of course, sorry for the heat. Apparently our AC is out, so that'll be fixed starting tomorrow. The heat works great. I don't know where that 48-degree weather is. I'll see it when I believe it, or believe it when I see it. I would like for it to get here soon. So. Oh, you got to work? Amazing. What, mine? Yeah. Let's see what she got to work. Yes, I'd be.
Everything is up there too. So.
Yeah. Excellent for our new. I like that. Okay. Thank you. I don't know when Apple became the official time of all things governmental, but apparently. Apple? iPhone. There we go. Welcome to the regular meeting of Helotes City Council. It's October 14th, 2021. Time is 7 p.m. We're going to start with our invocation and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll all rise.
Let us pray. Lord, grant us the serenity and wisdom to make the best decisions for the good people of Helotes tonight. Guide us and direct us to do what we believe is just, right, and worthy of your praise. In your name we pray. Amen.
Today we have a special guest. We have some Boy Scouts in our presence, and they're going to come up and they're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. You want to come up here? All right. Oh, go ahead.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Okay, next up is citizens to be heard, and we have 3 people signed up. We have, is that Catherine Burnett? Okay. Go ahead, you have 3 minutes, and thank you for coming out. State your name and address if you don't mind, please.
My name is Catherine Burnett. I'm speaking on behalf of my father, and he worked at 13438 Bandera Road. And I just have something to read that I wrote. Good evening. My name is Catherine Burnett. My father, Guy, recently passed away, and I would like to do something in order to honor his legacy. If you're not familiar with the name, I would like to say a few words about him. In 1981, my father served on the first Helotes City Council. San Antonio was looking to annex the town, but the council had other plans. He was elemental in planting the seeds for what Helotes is now, although he had other ideas about this latest traffic situation, and then spent the last 40 years designing and building homes across Helotes and the surrounding hill country. My dad and his partner, Bob Cage, started their company, Bob Cage Builders, and their first office opened next door to Ella's Barber Shop, which is now, I think, the smoke shop. They built their new office years later, which is located at 13438 Bandera Road. As a side note, he also helped remodel the Methodist church right next door where his memorial service was just held. He was a pillar of the community and helped in the fight to stop Walmart from building on the corner of Scenic Loop. He helped Bob Mander remodel his automotive shop a couple years ago. The logo that is above the Mander's front door is special to the old town Helotes. In the 90s, my brother's leg got stuck in a hole as a result of Vulcan not covering one of their core samples. My father borrowed a jackhammer, and he was the one to free my brother before a huge lightning storm hit Helotes Creek. But it was a community effort, and a lot of people came together to help Guy Burnett save his son. He also designed and built his own house in Helotes Park Estates. Kind of hard, sorry.
Take your time.
He loved the neighborhood. When the people across the street started building their house, they completely cleared the property of trees and natural landscape. He cared so much about the environment that he and my mom filed suit against them. Their case, they were building their house too close to the street. It might have been insignificant to the typical homeowner, but to him it was a big deal. They eventually won their suit, and the neighbors moved their house away from the street. It makes you wonder if he built homes somewhere else. Would Helotes, the landscape of Helotes, look any different? Probably. He was a member of the Helotes Historical Society, and right now, I wish I could pick his brains about what exactly happened in Helotes in the early 1900s. From what he told me, Helotes was a seedy little pit stop for cowboys on their way to Bandera Downs. My wish would be to have a street renamed or a memorial erected honoring his legacy. His contributions to the city and the community are unmatched at that time. Couple more sentences. On one of his last trips to the hospital, the Helotes EMS transported him in an ambulance. I sat in the front seat. When the paramedics started asking questions, asking him about his profession, his work, they were both amazed at the royalty they were carrying. I would like the city council to consider honoring my father and help guide me on how to get that accomplished. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your father's service to the community. Okay, next we have Sean Carlson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Sean Carlson. I own KNRG Architects, and I office out of 13438 Bandera Road. I'm here also to speak on behalf of Guy Burnett's family. I know typically the council does not comment at this time, but we would love an opportunity to sit down, have a meeting, and see what we could do to honor the people who have made Helotes. The initial, I won't call them forefathers, but the people who have pushed Helotes to be incorporated. Guy's a big part of my career. He's instrumental in my success, and we'd love that opportunity to do whatever we can as a design firm that would assist the city in doing something that honors not only Guy, but other members of the community. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, we can't comment on citizens to be heard, but as always, we have open door. Come and schedule appointments, and we'll meet with anybody on anything. Thank you. Okay, and third we have Laura Carlson.
Good evening, and thank you for your time. I'm Laura Carlson. I am a co-owner of the property at 13438 Bandera Road. I worked for Guy Burnett in the 90s on 2 occasions, before and after the birth of my child, and during his original illness. And I'm here in support of Katie's idea to honor him, and in support of Sean's idea as well to honor other members of the community that have been instrumental. I want to say that Guy Burnett affected positive change in Helotes and surrounding area, and that he had a life well lived and is worth honoring. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody sign up online? No? Okay. You have to forgive me, but it is posted. Okay, that is going to bring us to consent agenda items number 3 through 5. Looking for a motion and a second to approve consent agenda items 3 through 5 as written. Else there are any questions or ones that need to be pulled?
Sir, I'll move to approve consent agenda items 3 through 5.
Councilperson Sanders and Salazar. All right, with no questions or discussion required, all in favor of approving consent agenda items number 3 through 5, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This brings us to the mayor's report, an update on the 2021 International City and County Management Association's annual conference. I attended. It was up in Portland, Oregon. I was gone for about a week, and there were about 2,000 city managers from across the nation come to discuss trends, directions that they saw happening, and there was a lot of great information, including one of my personal favorites to see up there, defund police. Uh-oh, now what? Which appeared quite a few places in that conference. Unfortunately, I saw a lot of items that led me to a starting conclusion that that was a conference for me of what not to do. And both items, what to do and what not to do, can lead to positive leadership in your community. One thing that I saw in particular, and I'll just mention this, and that will be it for on this. It was a quote that was put up there. It said the fastest way, of course, a lot of the conference had to deal with increasing efficiencies, do more with less, inspire your employees, which are all excellent concepts. And the quote was, the fastest way to kill a great employee is to let them watch you tolerate a bad one. And that's a really fantastic quote. And then I got in a lot of conversations, and I said that generates a lot of great topics of discussion, but what happens, because it became apparent to me that we were asking the wrong types of questions. And so I bring this to you to consider for yourselves as council people and as citizens. What happens if we replace the word employee in that phrase with citizen? The fastest way to kill a great citizen is to let them watch you tolerate a bad one. It generates a different type of question where we should be looking for what is the best for our citizens. And that's a concept that drives me, and I hope it drives you as well as we take a look at certainly the programs that we choose to do should be for the betterment of the citizens and should be inspiring to the citizens, not just to employees to be better, but to inspire our citizens to be better, to encourage what I was talking with the Boy Scouts and before the meeting, to encourage loyalty to our country and loyalty to being citizens of the United States. And so I am proud to be a citizen of Helotes, where we as a community largely embrace that. And it's going to be a driving factor in my life as I go forward. But that's what we have from that. We're going on to item number 7. This will be the first reading and discussion on a resolution of the City Council of the City of Helotes approving amendment number 2 to the City of Helotes Economic Development Corporation. This will be a reading and a discussion, so there's no action. We need a motion on that?
No motion.
No motion on this one, I think so. So, guess we'll open it up.
Probably start first with either of the Mets.
I think that would be a good idea since you guys brought it.
Okay.
You want to read it?
So I apologize because my iPad here isn't loading up. But so first and foremost, I want to thank all the stakeholders that were involved in the process. I think we brought this up back in July. Council first read the proposal that we drafted. There was input there. Appreciate Councilmember Massey providing that memorandum. And then on the back end, via email, one-on-one with staff, CC'd, so we, keep everything legal. Kind of moved it through our own little version of a legislative session. And so just to, without, this load, and just to let everybody know that, at this point, what you have before you in the first reading is pretty much a consolidated consensus since July from stakeholders that include not just council member with that first meeting, council member Massey's email, but also input from staff, from the Helotes EDC president, Blaine Lopez, and Glenn Goolsby, the assistant executive director. So almost every stakeholder that I can think of is included in this, and I appreciate it, as well as being reviewed by the city attorney. I personally think that it meets the agreed upon intent to make the nomination process a little bit more equitable and resolve the one singular office on city council being the sole appointment authority. Everything else was pretty much, finding errors here and there, a bunch of grammatical issues, because I don't think city council has an executive director. That's over at the EDC, so we fixed some grammatical stuff there. And then, one thing I did want to point out was that, I appreciate everybody's input, because I was used to a lot of detail from previous, volunteer positions on boards. And so, the one thing to point out is that the EDC, while we retain oversight, they're on tap for figuring out their own process to give us those nominees. So I appreciate everybody's time and commitment on that, and I apologize that it did take, several months. 6 months has already gone by so fast, so thank you, everyone.
I'm really excited about this because it, like Councilman said, it takes away the authority of one entity to create a board. So I'm really excited about this. I really hope that that it, as written, it'll work, and if there are kinks to work out, we'll work them out and adjust as necessary. So I'm really excited and appreciative of all the work that has gone into this. Thank you all. That's all I have.
I want to thank the council members for bringing this forward, because it did need to be looked at again, and also thank you for asking for my input, having been on the EDC. I was on the EDC again for 9 years myself. So I was definitely a stakeholder in that, but I do appreciate it. And just for a little clarification, there was, the way it was, it originally was the board who did this, and then it was changed over to just the mayor doing it, and that's what we decided. But the mayor would be the nominee, or he would appoint, but the city council would still have to vote whether or not to accept the appointment. So it wasn't like a dictator telling you this is what it is. So anyway, but I think this is much more equitable, and so I just want to thank you for bringing it forward.
I'm good to go.
Good. Okay. Councilman?
Like Councilmember Massey said, fair and equitable. I support this. It seems less political, but it's important to note that, City Council still provides oversight and guidance of the EDC. And I think that is still part of this process. So that hasn't been weakened by this in any stretch of the imagination. So, I think this is a good job.
I will say during the campaign, it was a topic that we had talked about. One of the issues, very rarely do you see a politician that works hard to lessen his power. When I came into office, I inherited a lot of power that I felt wasn't ideal. And so that was one of the directives I was taking in my campaign and carrying out through in offices. I inherited the power to be able to do all that. That wasn't always the case. It was something that I felt needed to be changed back. And so I certainly talked a lot about it in the campaign. I'm glad you guys picked that up and brought it forward. It really needs to be, we are a strong mayor city, and so the mayor in our city and structure does have a lot of power granted to it by the state. But there are some areas in which we can decentralize that, and I think this is an excellent opportunity for that. Okay, this is just a reading and discussion. Is there any more discussion to be had? Okay, I believe we'll have a second reading at a subsequent meeting. This brings us to item number 8, looking for a motion and a second for discussion and action on item number 8 as written.
Mayor, I move that we discuss and take action on agenda item number 8.
Councilmember Salzar, second by
I'll second that.
Anders. Councilmember?
All right. So the planning and zoning met and looked over this. I did not make that meeting because I was traveling, but I looked over all the paperwork and the photographs. Everything looks good. In addition to that, I wanted to say that every meeting that I've attended, the planning and zoning has done an excellent job of looking everything over very thoroughly. And I've always been impressed with the diversity of the questions. They really do look at things from many different angles. So I feel confident in going along with their recommendation that this move forward.
I might point out that the owners operators of this business, the Lotus, nice play on the word Helotes, are here in the back if there was any particular question, but Councilmember Sanders?
So I echo everything that Councilmember Salazar stated. Unanimous vote. They're not asking for variances. There's nothing controversial or questionable about this. So I know the process is the process for this to come up here for us to vote on. Perhaps that will be something that we take on sometime in the near future where things like this, we can address it quicker to the business owner so that they don't have to wait a couple of weeks until the council recycle. I don't know, it's just something I'm just mentioning as something we probably can do a better job at, but I have no issues with it.
Anything additional?
I don't have anything to add.
Yeah, I'll echo Councilman Sanders on that. And we should find a way to really streamline this process for business owners. This seems a bit much.
That is a process that requires 2 public hearings as well, and so it'll be forthcoming in the future. Look for that to be on the dais in the future, but we will delay discussion of that to its appropriate time and order.
Understood.
I don't have anything.
Okay. All right, with no further questions, all in favor of approving item number 8 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, ladies. Brings us to item number 9, looking for a motion and second to discuss item number 9 as written.
Mayor, I move we discuss and take action on item number 9.
Councilman
I
Sanders.
second.
And Councilmember Salazar. Councilman?
So this just seems like a clerical error. Looks like a plat just didn't have a number attached to the block number or whatever. So this is a clerical error, and I know our civil engineers for the city believe there's no issue here, that this should be approved, and I agree.
Councilmember?
Yes, I also agree after looking over the drawings and such. It just rectifying a mistake.
Okay.
Nothing to add.
Any comments?
No, sir.
Discussion? Okay. With no further discussion, all in favor of approving item number 9 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Look for a motion and a second for discussion and action on item number 10 as written.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we discuss and take action on item number 10 as written.
Councilmember Massey,
I'll second.
second by Merchant. And I'll just make a point of privilege here. This appointment is my nomination for my second nomination for the election to the Ethics Commission. Robert Hopner could not be here today. He got called into work, something I know a lot about, being called in. So he wishes he could have been here. He's been a, how do we say, active voice for the community in making sure everything is right with garbage collection and the C6 and things that aren't right and need to be made right. Demonstrated a lot of desire to be involved in that process, and it's good to see people step up and take charge, and I think he'd be an excellent candidate for the Ethics Commission, and so I am nominating him. If there's any questions or...
Oh, I know Mr. Hopner, he's a very nice man, and he is very vocal about things. I do have a question, I wish he was here. I was reading his experience. What is a load master?
So I can answer that. So when you get on a commercial airline, you just kind of take it for granted. Everything is balanced and underneath is locked down appropriately. But on military aircraft, there's an actual career field where people, that's their job, to make sure they understand that the aircraft is balanced appropriately and everything is tied down. So when you have to do some kind of unexpected maneuvers, it doesn't move, which then causes your aerodynamics to change, and then the airplane is no longer airworthy.
That sounds like a very important job.
And it's very, very detail oriented,
Yeah.
and safety number one. So
Yeah.
I think those are all characteristics that are for somebody that should be on an ethics.
You all saw the movie Martian, and when they were going to ship all that stuff up there, but they hadn't tied it down right, or it was liquid, and so it shifted, and it caused a destruction.
So they didn't have a
That's what
load
happens, and they've had military planes that take off, they had a shift,
Yep.
and the whole thing crashes. A lot of video on that on YouTube if you want to check
But
it out.
he's a very nice man, and I think that he's definitely got the qualifications, and so I'm all for it.
Any comments? All right. No additional discussion. All in favor of approving item number 10 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to item number 11. Need a motion and a second to discuss and take action of item number 11 as written.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we discuss and take action at item 11 as written.
Motion by Merchant, second by
I'll second that, Mayor.
Sanders. Okay.
All right. I was looking through this, and I kind of am, I guess I'm going to expose my ignorance on this, but I'm wondering how in the span of 3.8 miles from Galm to Bandera is property valued for some at $1.57 a square foot and up to $12 a square foot for others?
Well, there is a distinct process that goes through this, which is the state gets involved in TxDOT. And for those that don't understand exactly what we're talking about, there's going to be an expansion of 1560 from Calabria Road all the way to, right down here at Riggs Road. It's going to be done in 2 phases, from Calabria to
Galm?
Galm, and then from there over here to our little new bridge over here at Riggs. The first project takes off next year. This second project was supposedly slated to start in 2023, but we could be 5 years. Who knows, right? But the way the law reads is that when you're coming through, when a state highway is coming through, our state-controlled road, TxDOT is coming through our community, we have to pay 10% of the eminent domain of the parcels of that land. So you might have a field that you're just taking 15 feet of. You might have somebody's front lawn that you're taking some feet off. So it depends on the property. It could be literally, you all drive by that big, beautiful house that I've never seen anybody at, but they got a business behind it. That's a, beautiful their front lawn. That's
Right,
cutting right through there. So you'll find that those, they send in surveyors, they send in appraisers, they send in all that. So the property value, what it's currently listed in on the books in Bear County comes into play, and then they figure out that appropriate.
Figured out something like that. So my second question then is, how does the same parcel number and tax ID get 3 different sums of monies? Shouldn't one parcel or tax ID number be only entitled to 1 sum of money? Because if we look on the last page of this, page 18, there are like parcel number 73, 73, 73, tax ID is yada, yada, yada. It's owned by a company and they get 3 sums of money.
Sure. So
I don't understand that. That's what I'm asking.
Frank could probably speak best to this, but you can have one parcel that'll have an area that's valuable, an area that's less valuable, and another area that's scrub. But it's all part of the same parcel. So when you're cutting a road through an area, like for example, which happened to a family we knew up in New York, right? The road came through and it cut through where their house was. But then they had 40 acres in the back that was just field. So this part
Yeah.
was more expensive than this part. And that was all of one parcel, so breaking it down. But Frank, if you need some more clarification, that was kind of the aerial, some of that. So, for example, Zumwalt's property kind of curves around there.
Yeah. So there's one here, I guess.
And I think in particular, Zumwalt's property, part of it's where the house sits, which is part of the Helotes, and then part of it on the other side of the creek, I believe, is Bear County. So, I mean,
I don't know, but that's prime frontage. He's only getting $2 a square foot. And whoever this Rogalski is, I mean, I'm happy for them. They're getting $12 a square foot. Where's this property at? That is more valuable than Zumwalt property.
Well, that's,
I mean,
that's,
And the ones
I'm
on the
just-
bottom,
Take a
yeah,
question,
and
I
the
just
ones on
text
the
them.
bottom, we didn't question because actually we are not paying for those
Right.
properties on the bottom.
I'm just,
Yeah,
I don't understand this.
we are not responsible for those
Right.
properties.
I see that.
Yeah, we're responsible for the ones on top.
we will say though that the original estimate was significantly higher,
Yes,
like
and
$280,000, and when all's said and done, they realized that Helotes really only goes so far, and they were originally charging us for a lot of area that wasn't ours. So we're actually only paying, was it 62,000 as opposed to 280 some thousand.
85,000.
All right. Now, this is something that we will have to pay when they do it, but we have to take action on authorizing it, and then we set it aside and wait for it to happen. If the project doesn't happen after a certain period of time, it can be reverted and funds released at that time. So all we're doing is authorizing this as a foreseeable plan.
What is the likelihood that this property value will go up between now and then? Like if this doesn't go up between
It's
5 years?
fixed.
Once we've written it,
Locked in.
it's locked in.
Okay, that sucks to be the property owner.
For who?
Well, it's,
Property owner.
no,
The property
it's locked in
owner
for
goes up.
us.
We need to be locked in.
Well, yeah, I get it.
No, our portion is locked in.
I get it.
The property values can go up, in which case TxDOT will have to pay higher.
Pay the
But
difference.
our portion stays the same.
Okay,
Yes,
well, that's good.
yes.
We're signing a not to exceed
Gotcha.
contract here. But you're absolutely right. They do get more money,
So,
property values, if they drag feet for 10 years.
property values are not staying the same.
so as I've recalled, this is the price of doing business with TxDOT and road expansions. I know we had to go through the same thing not that long ago. We voted on right of way and the cost for expanding Bandera Road. So whether we like it or not, I mean, processes, and so we got to support it.
Other comments? All right, with no further discussion, all in favor of approving item number 11 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This brings us to a very interesting item number 12. Need a motion and a second to discuss and take action on item number 12 as written.
I move that we discuss and take action on item number 12.
I'll second.
Council Salazar and Merchant. Okay, and so I'm going to take a few minutes to discuss this. This is a pet project of mine for a while, as I took on the challenge of thinking outside of the box to redefine healthcare for our city. We've talked about this in open session before as far as specific numbers. Previous year, healthcare went up 20%. This year, we were hit with a 30% increase in premiums for our employees' healthcare. It's untenable, and I just was not prepared to accept that. So we started our budget with just only 15%, which of course meant we're going to have to do something different plan-wise. We searched for plans, and of course, the process here was not only finding something affordable, but finding out why things were happening the way they were. Why were we getting higher and higher? And in the 80,000 view, bottom line, we had a lot of employees that were having higher claims, and they were also taking advantage of emergent care facilities, which would end up increasing our total claims, whether those claims were paid or not, which ended up giving us a higher risk rating, and therefore we had to pay higher premiums. So what I did was went out and did some research and found out that we have several emergent and urgent care standalone facilities in the area, and took a look at the concept of doing what was called subscription-based healthcare. So if we pay a subscription, then that would allow, or theoretically would allow, our employees to be able to go and have a visit for a flat fee. The importance of this is that our employees were doing this anyways, but we were getting hit with $4,000 and $6,000 claims, and furthering our problem to ever higher spiraling costs. By doing a subscription-based, it's a contract with a provider, and that would not be filed as a claim, and so therefore won't be counted by the insurance companies when they figure our rates in the following year. So theoretically, what we're doing is taking a situation where our employees were actually significantly hurting us by going to a facility, and now we change it so that if we can write a contract for subscription services, we can encourage them to go to the doctors that they like, and or the services that they like, and that would actually help fix our situation to give us better, lower claims and better pricing in the future. So we put out a RFP, and we actually specifically reached out to every possible standalone we could find, and then made it available. To my knowledge, we had 5 in the area that were types, so we reached out. Subsequently, we had just one submit an RFP, and that is what's before you. Seeing as though there's only one, there's not a lot to decide if that was better or worse than anybody else. It's the only one that bothered to put a submission in, and that is Alamo City Urgent Care, which is actually the parent company. They have an urgent. Well, they're umbrellaed under one because we're writing it with one. So they have their.
So it's Alamo City and Prestigious Emergency coming together as
bidders.
co-responders for that.
Okay, so, but we're writing, yeah, right. So effectively, we'll have the urgent care, which will be under Alamo, and then we have the emergent care, which is the Prestige facility. And so what this is we will be paying a subscription fee per month per employee, regardless if they use it or not. In exchange, the employees will get the right to be able to go there and pay a much lower fee than what they would have normally had to pay. And when all is said and done, we have capped our costs, and we still maintain a savings as a city. The employees get to be able to take advantage of services that they were already pleased with and going to use anyways at a much lower cost than what their policy would have demanded that they pay. Therefore, being a win-win, and hopefully a win for the company, but that's less my concern. More my concern is the city and and our employees. And so that's really kind of the background on why we were looking at this, and due to we were forced to have to move to an HHO in order, HMO, excuse me, to get ourselves in the price bracket of what we could afford. And there were several options in there. We did an employee survey to ask each and every employee which of those two they would prefer. We ended up choosing the better of the two, and still we had some savings, and I thought it was worth the investment to do something proactively to fix the core root of the problem of spiraling out of control costs, so that we can hopefully have a rosier future as opposed to a drearier future. Every year the employees have said it just gets worse and worse and more expensive. Well, this will hopefully fix what was wrong in that system so we can have better and better insurance at the same or less cost in future years.
I have a question. Do the employees have to go to these two places, or can they go somewhere else?
So this will be a contract specific to that company. So if they want urgent or emergent care, it will have to be with that facility. That being said, they still have their insurance, so they can use their insurance anywhere they want. But with this company, they'll go and pay, I believe it up there is $30 for urgent care, $150 for emergent care.
So these are two, so this is separate from like their primary care physician, just routine
Correct.
things?
Correct.
Okay.
So, for example, you wanted to get, had COVID issue or whatever, you wanted to go to the urgent care, only be $30. Of course, COVID was kind of a different thing. There's a lot of things that weren't charged for. You're sick and got allergies and want to go see a doctor. Well, normal under insurance, you'd have to pay your deductible, your copay and whatever. Here, you're going to pay $30 flat fee and that's it. Period, end of story. There's no claim for the city. The employee paid less. The employee got seen a lot quicker because typically those waiting times are much less than scheduling an appointment with your doctor. Appears to be an increase of service for our employees, a decrease of cost for employees. But they are free. Under the insurance plan, they could go someplace else, but they'd have to pay $650 up front. This allows them to be able to pay $150 and have immediate access.
I got you.
Okay, so the way I'm reading it, so I'm just clarifying, this covers only the employee, not their families, correct?
So we talked about that, and part of what this will be is we'll take a look at that. If an employee is employee only on their insurance, they'll be employee only on that. If they have employee plus family.
No, actually what it is we will pay for all the employees. If they want to add their family member, they can at this rate.
Yeah, that's what it's
Yeah, they can at this rate.
If
They
they're-
would have to pay that subscription on the monthly like they would on any health insurance.
Yeah.
But we will cover the employee themselves on the subscription plan.
Okay.
At least the subscription
Yeah,
plan.
that's where I was going. They'll be covered, but their family will be, but they have to pay the family's subscription price. So if they got 3 people, family members, then the payroll deduct
$60.
$60 to them.
Correct.
And the
And
employee is free.
they pay that directly to Alamo City, or does it go through?
No, it
They'll
would
pay
come
real-
through, it would come through us and it would be billed through us and it would be deducted from their pay.
Okay, my other question is location, where are these? I don't know off the top of my head.
They're mostly on the west side.
Prestige is about 1.5 miles down the road. It's not the west side. It's right down at the corner of Shanefield and 1560.
There's one down on 1604 in Potranco. There's one on 151 and 410. I looked at all 5 locations and they're all predominantly on the western side of San Antonio. Of San Antonio, very close to Helotes.
Yeah.
Right.
They do have a location further north central area. I forgot what that location was.
April has the list.
Yeah. But the one, there is one at the corner of 1560 and
Gom.
right there. So that's right close by. And then at the other end on 1604 is their urgent care. So we do have immediate access to urgent and with this particular company.
And most of our staff live in the area.
Yeah, that was gonna be my next question, like, does the staff live close enough to take advantage of these?
Yeah.
A small handful live farther, but most of them live within 15, 20 minutes of the area. So.
Okay, and, gosh, it's kind of a big question, but what's covered? I mean, emergency room stuff can be pretty intense. And I know it says a flat rate, but like, how far does that go?
So on the emergent care is obviously more expensive because you're
Yeah.
dealing with the more significant, the urgent, you're dealing with sicknesses. We'll have a complete list, and I think April has the exhaustive list there. But when you go to the idea is that, and I think it's pretty easy to grasp when you go into urgent care, it's relatively minor, right? So it's flat 30, doesn't matter what you deal with. If it falls under urgent, it's 30. Doesn't matter what you're dealing with. If it falls under emergent, it's gonna be 150. So if you go to the emergency room and it only takes, you decide to go there and it's only a bandage, well, you're paying 150 for a bandage. But if you go there and you need x-rays plus a cast plus medicines and whatever, still just 150. Anything that they do, and so we'll have and give to the employees the exhaustive list of what both services offer.
So I guess I could tell you more clearly what they say they won't do.
Okay, there we go.
Compared to what they do. So for the urgent care, they exclude blood work. And these are only exclusions because they don't do these things in-house. They use third parties, so that's not something that they're gonna offer, because if you want to, you'd have to pay the lab. So blood work, the urgent care doesn't do CAT scans, MRIs, nothing like that. They also will not do COVID testing under this prescription because of the federal guidelines. And then Prestige, what they say that they exclude is MRI, specialty labs. They can do minor blood work, but if it's a high level of testing, they can't do it. I spoke with them just to kind of clarify. And that's it. Everything else they can do between the facilities, so.
Thank you.
Which includes, I believe, providing a prescription as well too, so they can write a prescription there as well too, so. And also, I believe they stock some medicines there, so they can even grant initial, depends on your medicine, right?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Okay, thank you.
So, 12, Councilmember Salazar, any other comments, questions?
No.
Okay. Can't read my own handwriting. Was that you that seconded it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't say in here that we're gonna, I mean, it says that we'll look at this again in a year. That's in the schedule, I'm assuming. Okay, the other thing is, we're doing this to save insurance costs. Okay, so what are the metrics we're gonna be using to see if this is successful in lowering those costs in a year? How are we gonna measure this? How is it measured?
It'll be super easy to measure because when we get our quotes next year for, remember, they take a look at your claims.
How many claims and what those claims are.
Exactly.
By this and what, so they're not gonna see this?
They won't see any of these claims. So before we had claims on this, and so before we had claims like this, and so they charge us this. Then our claims went up to here, so they gotta charge us this. And so next year, if we come out there and all of a sudden our claims are only down here.
The way we measure this is just by the amount of visits that don't get covered.
Run
by
through insurance.
Okay.
Correct.
It's also a benefit for our employees because.
I agree.
Because on the
I see
HMO
that
aspect of it, we have higher deductibles.
But
and
now
higher-
we're paying two different entities.
But we're actually,
And it's
but,
going to be less.
but it's still less monthly.
Okay.
The two combined is still significantly less
Understood.
than.
I just need to hear it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I think it's a really great idea, and I think it's a great idea to think outside of the box, and I think it's just a good thing to do.
I'll echo the same thing because we've discussed this before, so it's hopefully it works out and look forward to seeing the hopefully the positive results.
Absolutely. The neat thing about that is, let's say nobody goes at all. Well, then that company made money for not doing anything, right? But our total costs are less. And the perceived benefit of our employees, which is what we're talking about here, employee benefit packages, is perceived value. If they use it a lot, well, they use it, 10 times $30, that's $300 versus 10 times 150, which would be $1,500 through their normal deductibles. They're better off. So really, the more they use it, the less claims we have, the better we're going to be in the following year. So
Win-win.
I can't find a way where this derails, but if it does, at the end of the year, we will review
Find out.
before we do an extension.
So, I agree with everybody about this being a good idea, thinking outside the box. Obviously, I don't think anybody wanted to change the original healthcare plan. But like the mayor said, the costs were prohibitive. And so I talked with Marion the other day, and just to put numbers on it, so we would have been over right around $483,000 if we'd have kept the original health care. So by stepping down to a slightly lesser option with University Healthcare, which has, puts a little more cost and copay down to the employee, it was really essential to come up with a supplemental plan, and that's what this is supplemental. So the city coming up with the subscription and with the slightly different option in University Healthcare, the cost of the city is right around $360,000 this year. It's a significant savings. Again, not perfect to the employees, but I think the supplement, I think the supplement will really fill the gaps. And like Council Member Merchant said, he goes, the metrics, when we get a chance to look at this and when the bids come back next year, maybe University Healthcare will come back with something a little more affordable and we can switch that plan back to the way it was. But with the realities of the way they are right now, I think this is the best the city could offer. And I want to say thank you to the mayor and Marianne and April. I learned a lot from you three on this particular topic, and I fully support it.
Anybody else? All right. With no further discussion, all in favor of approving item number 12 as written, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 13 will require a motion. It will be for the second and final reading and action on item number 13 as written.
Mr. Mayor, I motion that we conduct the second and final reading and take action on item number 13.
Okay.
I'll second, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Crossan and Merchant. Councilman?
So I have a handful of things here, so I'll try and work with this a little efficiently. Section 34-91 definitions, weekday. We have all the other days without an S, and then Thursday, with an S. So I would recommend that we just remove the S from
Can do that.
Thursdays to make it consistent. Now getting into the more technical stuff, when I was looking at this again, something that stuck out in my head was 34-9 prohibited noises enumerated. Section I, that was 34-9(3), and in section I it says, let me get down to it. There's a section it says in legal holidays. And so that got me thinking, I don't see anywhere where we defined it. And then I went, taking a look at how other governments define it. And the federal government with Title V has 11 federal holidays, which most non-essential offices shut down. And then Comptroller and their About Us page holiday lists about over 20 state Texas holidays. And so, just to get a little technical, if somebody were to, ask HPD when they came out there for a complaint, what holiday is it specifically, and then maybe they observe Battle of the Flowers. I just think perhaps like a section in this where we define what our holidays are going to be.
And I can actually change it to city holidays, so anything the city adopts, we can change it to city holidays. And I had actually just took that wording, and what we'll have to do is, once I clean this up, I'm probably gonna go, you're gonna see an amendment in the consent, because actually all our ordinance in our code says legal holidays. So what I'll do is I'll change this section to city holidays, come back and do a cleanup on our ordinance to change everything that says legal within our code to city holidays.
Yeah, because it's actually in city in section 34-96. Great segue into that one. So under other events, it just read kind of awkward to me as another once over. Until 12 a.m. on any Friday, Saturday, or city holiday, like you referenced. indoor and outdoor. So, you know, what, and I can copy and paste this, but, you know, I would recommend it and say, you know, events including but not limited to indoor and/or outdoor gatherings, public dances, shows, sporting events, and other similar outdoor events authorized by the appropriate permitting authority, and concluding on or before 12 a.m. on Friday, Saturday, or city holiday period. Because the way it reads now, I wouldn't know how to explain it to,
Scroll up to the dash 90, that'd be, so that's falling under exemptions, right?
yeah, under,
So the, correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, when it's under subsection of exceptions, it's defining the exception. So I understand what seems to be a grammatical awkwardness. When you take it in context of what section it's under, it provides legal clarity in my mind that it's written accurately because of the subsection it's under. Would you agree with that, Frank?
That's correct.
Okay. Standalone doesn't make sense, but
Okay.
under exemptions, exemptions, it does clarify that, at least in legal terms.
all right, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
And then the last one is 34. I got a question this week about 34-9A, 70 decibels. I didn't pick that. That example I used, I thought Dustin said like the standard is 80 decibels in terms of whatever state or federal guidelines there are, but there was something on 34-9A where
9A,
9A, 96.
93 or
34-94.
94?
94.
Paragraph A. I'm moving up and down, I'm sorry.
What's the 70 decibel?
Yeah, exceeds 70 decibels during any time, any daytime hours.
3494.
So at 30, yeah, so 30, section 34-94, paragraph A, does that mean we can't do anything?
No,
So-
it's like, it's saying that outside of your property. So let's say it's on someone else's property, they can hear it past that 70 decibels. So if I'm outside inside my house
Yeah.
and it's over 70 decibels from the stuff that's going on in your house. You know, it might be 70 decibels at your house, but by the time it gets to my house, that dissipates, that sound dissipates, it won't be 70 decibels. So let's say your lawnmower is 70 decibels, but by the time you get to my house, it's not 70 decibels. That has lowered because of the distance.
If you look at the last sentence in that section, the definitions of daytime, nighttime hours apply to the property where the sound is being received. So it's, again, it could be 90 at your property, but as long as it's below 70 when it reaches someone else's property, it would not be a violation of this provision.
No, because I mean, the questions that, I was answering with the constituents was, and we're trying to provide tools, for reasonable.
And you'll see also, I did add one other exemption. I added one that I left on the dais, which is number 5, property maintenance. Resident property maintenance, including but not limited to the operation of lawnmowers, leaf blowers, etc., provided such maintenance occurs between the hours of 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on weekdays and 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. on weekends, and we'll change it to city holidays.
Perfect, because it's right here, and you could have saved like, what, 3 minutes of, up here
Or I thought
talking.
about it, and
like
because
so.
I live in a subdivision, and I live in a subdivision that is very close,
Yeah.
such as like a Brycewood and so forth. It doesn't affect someone that lives in half an acre or an acre, but it does affect someone that lives in a 5,500 square foot subdivision. I live in one of those, so I thought about it, and I said, we do have a couple of subdivisions that it could affect that. So I thought about that and put that and talk with the mayor about that, and then presented this.
Perfect, I'm sorry, it's right here, and I didn't,
That's all right.
that is all for me.
In all reality, our community, we don't really have that many problems. But what this does is define it for when PD needs to be able to address a situation. And that's the heart of what's going on here. Provide a standard. In all reality, somebody still has to call and complain, and they have to come out and investigate and hear what it is. And this provides the tools for the police to be able to actually have some teeth in these matters. So as we go through life, just like any of our other ordinances, if something needs to be adjusted because, well, this sounded good, but then all of a sudden we realize we can adjust just like we do other ordinances as well. But I think that seems to be fairly comprehensive without being strangling and
Okay, very hot. Can we move forward?
Yes. I have nothing to add. I have nothing to add. I like that it gives the police officers tools to do what they need to do. Because we are one of the safest communities in Texas.
safest city in the 30-city area of San Antonio. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That's Sergeant Palacios, for those that are online. Join us. Okay, so with no further discussion, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You know, I always got something to say. One is I have problems with my neighbors noise all the time, so I'm glad we have this ordinance, or soon to be. I'll keep
Also,
it
for
back.
those that don't know, Donnie Palacios is also his neighbor, so.
That was a joke. He's a great neighbor. So, two things, and I didn't download all this, so normally the links work. I'm not getting to the link. So this will just be two generality things. And this is frustrating for somebody that's used to the military time clock from 001 to 2400, right? So midnight is the start of the next day, but in one of the examples, we talk about midnight being the end of a day. It's either the first of the next day or it's the end of, we just got to be consistent. It's in the very first part that's highlighted. And then there's another area where we seem to omit Friday as being a day of any consequence. That would be under section I. And see if, all right,
It goes Monday to Thursday and then Saturday.
so what happens to Friday?
It's a seedy stopover for cowboys on their way to Bandera.
Yeah.
That's my only two
Yeah,
comments.
this one here.
That's my only two
Friday's
comments.
missing.
And I'll shut up.
Oh, it is. I apologize.
Catch.
Yeah.
Friday's a
Good catch. That is a good catch.
It's a free-for-all. Wow.
But I was gonna say it's a free-for-all.
You can do whatever you want on Friday. That's my only comment.
Free to be Friday.
Seedy stopover.
So I guess we could just ask Council Member Crossan if you'd be amicable to a friendly amendment to take action on item number 13 as written, with the exception of removing the S's in the Thursdays, change legal to city holidays, and the addition of Fridays in subsection I.
I really should have been writing this down. I don't read it. To make that amendment sound good. So, Mr. Mayor, I motion that we approve item number 13.
This would be a friendly amendment. Are you
Yeah.
amicable to
Oh.
a friendly amendment to your current motion to approve as written, with the exception of removing the S's of the Thursday, changing legal to city holidays, and put the addition of Fridays in subsection I?
Yes, I was just gonna go
I
through.
think all you have to do
Oh,
is
you don't have to now, he did it
Just say
already.
yes.
yeah,
All right.
it says yes. And
Yes.
because you seconded it?
I agree.
Okay, so now we can take action. All in favor of approving item number 13 as written with the noted exceptions, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Now we are officially,
Final
motion
vote,
carries.
Sergeant.
And our final item for the evening is item number 14. I need a motion and a second for the second and final reading and action on item number 14. It's written. Motion by,
Mr. Mayor, I'll motion that we discuss and take action on item number 14.
Second.
okay. Councilmember, you're.
So there was one thing that the EDC brought up to me in terms of food trucks. I've never seen it, but apparently there's some food truck out there that drives around selling margaritas. And
I'm a fan.
All in
And-
favor?
Are they outside?
Yes.
I can't find it right now because this was a last minute question that was asked while I was looking at it, but it was just pointed out that it's in our ordinance. Are we prohibiting or are we allowing?
It's prohibited.
It's prohibited? Okay, I can't find it. Thank you.
It's on, it's number 18 under section 46-19.
So it was just brought to me because, it was a business.
Yeah, and, well, the reason
And-
was we had some feedback with other businesses in
Mhm.
Old Town that sells alcohol, and they didn't want the competition of allowing maybe someone that didn't sell alcohol to have just a truck that sells alcohol, and then that would impede their business. So that was some feedback that we
Okay.
did get, and so that's why that was placed in there. In fact, we got a lot of that
A
feedback.
lot of it? Okay.
Yes. For all the
Understand.
business that sold alcohol in Old Town.
Makes
Source of profit, I think.
Well, yeah. So that, I just wanted to point that out because like I said, it was last minute and question. I was really interested in seeing what everybody else had. I appreciate you telling me the feedback because, yeah, I would, the second reading, I was happy to approve this as written, so without that last minute question. That's pretty much it. So pending other comments. Yeah.
Councilmember?
Yeah, I wanted us to go ahead and approve as written.
Okay. Greg?
I'm good with it. Really?
Councilmember?
No, I'm happy about this. Thank you. I'm good.
I have nothing to say.
All right. Well, if no further discussion, all in favor of approving item number 14 as written, say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. I just want to say thank you to all the council members. Your diligence and due diligence is extraordinary. The questions, the proofreading shows and proves that you guys are doing your homework and doing it right. I thank you for your efforts. We're going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. The time is 8:05.
A lot for the city.